Good day, good people. Good day, good people. This is your dope black dad, Marcus A. Smothers, back for another episode. Just here, just relaxing and having a good time on this day. Thank you. I always like to start off my episode with saying thank you because you did not have to choose to press play on your app to listen to me today. And because you have decided to listen to me today, I am going to make sure that we have some quality conversations with some quality, authentic topics. And hopefully, we all can learn something today as we're just having these conversations from one dope black dad to others. So, before we get started, today is September 11th, 9/11. We don't celebrate the day, but I do want to give a moment of silence for all of the lives that were lost on this day. So thank you. Every time 9/11 comes around, I find myself reflecting, and I always ask myself, Marcus, where were you when 9/11 happened? And I want you to think about that too. Like, where were you when you got the news of everything that took place? And for me, this was freshman year in college when all this took place. Um, Came home from class and don't usually watch the news, but turned on the news and everything was going crazy. And I noticed everything that was going on, and I just could not believe the footage of what I was seeing. It was heartbreaking to actually live through something like that. And now looking back, I think about all of the stories that have come out over the years, all of the different people whose families have been affected, those people who could have been there that day but probably was not that day. And I'm always having these conversations about younger generations, because a lot of the young people who I work with now, and even my daughters, they weren't born at that time. And so they have really no context except for the stories and that have been told. But I always want to have that conversation and reflection to remember that day and remember the lives that were lost on that day. So thank you for that moment of silence. All right. So on this episode on today, we are going to jump into a conversation that is I think it's very interesting. I also think I created a new word or a new phrase, but we're going to talk about that new word and that new phrase, and I'm going to give you my experience with this new word and this new phrase. And the new word or new phrase is transitional parenting. That that's the word. That's the title of this episode. Transitional parenting. I don't know if it's a real word. I don't know if it's already used. If you hear this clip, watch this clip, and it's something that's already established, let me know and I'll give the people credit. But for context for this episode, when I'm talking about transitional parenting, I'm talking about how we as parents have to help our children transition to different phases of their lives. And there are multiple phases of their lives that they are continuing to transition to. And I'm going to lean in on one specific transitional area, but I'm going to highlight some of the other ones as well. If you've listened to my podcast or if you know me, you know that I am a girl dad. I am a girl dad through and through. I'm a girl dad times four. I include my goddaughters in the scene, so I am a girl dad times seven. I have my four daughters by birthright, and I have my three goddaughters as well. I do not exclude them in anything. It has been a journey raising my girls. And I'm not saying that I do it by myself, but I am talking from a dad's perspective, a father's perspective. And I remember every single transitional point in my girl's life and how each one of those periods were tricky. It was tricky for both of us. It was tricky for me because this was my first time being a parent, especially for my oldest daughter. I've never experienced this before. I remember when she was born, I used to make jokes with her all the time. I used to say, hey, this is your first time being a daughter. This is my first time being a parent. We're going to have to work through this thing together if we're going to be successful. And she would just look at me. I don't think she really knew what I was saying at that time. But the periods that they go through in life are very interesting. And I understand that I'm blessed to be in a situation where I am able to wake up and go to bed with my girls with me every night. I know everybody's situation is different, but for me, I'm humbled and I'm honored that that is my story. And it doesn't mean that I'm better or anything else than anyone else. It's just my story, and I'm talking from the lens of my life. I, you remember when we were growing up and we used to couldn't wait till we turned 18, and we used to hear people say things like, you know, you 18, you grown, or you 18, you can get out my house, or people used to say things like that. Once you 18, that is it. It's almost as if parenting was an 18-year process. Like once your child hits 18, you feel like, or once they graduate from high school, if you believe the lies from past, you would think that, well done, I'm good. They're 18, I've crossed the finish line and I'm out. That's a lie. I'm 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 here to tell you right now that just because your child turns 18, parenting does not stop. If anything, I say your parenting, it goes to another level, or parenting just looks different when your child turns 18 or when they're legal. Because, you know, my mom didn't tell me I was grown till I was later in my life. So not because you're not 18 and grown, you're just 18 and legal. And I'm saying that from the lens of my oldest daughter. She's graduated from high school. She'll be 19 this year. And I'm the type of parent who I believe in giving children space to grow. And when I say I believe in giving children space to grow is, if this is what you want to do, I'm gonna support you. And this is the direction that you feel like you want to take your life in. I'm gonna support you, especially like early growing up ages, because I believe, try it. If you don't like it, boom, you don't like it, but you can't quit. Once you start it, we got to finish this cycle of it out, and then we can reevaluate it at the end. And so I've always parented my girls with that lens. High standards. I believe that you can do more. I didn't settle for I didn't settle for mediocrity, not because my standards was too high, but you could do it. It's one of those things where I'm not expecting you to do something that you can't do. Like you can't just tell me that you got a C when you know good and well you're capable of making a B or even an A. You know what I mean? Like you. So I don't expect perfection from my girls, but I do expect you to give it your all. I do expect you to do this thing and thug it out. Like I say, I do expect you to show up and let's grind on it. And I'm going to be there to support. But now that we have this transitional period where you're shifting from high school, day to day life, and now you're transitioning into this early adult stages, parenting now looks different. Sometimes the things that we do now, it is suggestive parenting. I know I'm just creating a whole bunch of new words, but it's almost like it's suggestive parenting. Back when you were younger, it was a little bit of suggestive parenting, but you got to do what I say. Like, this is still my house, this is everything like this, but I set the tone and you got to kind of move in it. But now that you're going through and your life is moving in another direction, I really got to give you that space to make decisions, continue to give you that space to fail, but I'm still going to be there to pick you up. But I'm still got to let you know that, hey, you got to work this out. You got to figure this out for yourself. I've already taught you. I'm going to be here to support you, but you got to make that first decision on your own. So as we're continuing to talk about transitional parenting, you know, I'm not putting my daughter's business all and things like that, but these are just practical things that we work on. When she wanted to go off to school, things didn't work that way. She decided to stay home, and that was a good move. You know, my thing for life is college is college. You know, don't feel like, and I want to encourage parents also to voice this to their children. If you're in college, you're winning. If you are pursuing what you feel like you want to pursue for your life, you're winning. I'm not going to downplay you because you're not going to off to school like everybody else may be going off to school, and you might be, your road and your path is different. So now for me as a parent, I have to help you navigate what this road looks like. And a lot of that has with conversations. So we didn't go off to school, and that's okay. I didn't go off to school when I first graduated, and that's okay. Millions of people did not go off to school when they graduated from high school, and that's okay. You started in junior college, you started at FSCJ, and that's perfectly fine. It's one of those things. Sometimes it's comparison. That's just a new thing that I've been saying lately. You know, big shout out to Jonathan McReynolds. You know, comparison kills. We spend so much time comparing our lives to other people that we don't enjoy the growth, or we don't enjoy what we're doing with ourselves. So me as a parent, I can't compare my kids to somebody else's. I can't compare my kids' journey to their friends. I can't compare my child's journey to my other child, because each one of my children have their own journey that I have to help them through and navigate through it. So as I'm helping my oldest navigate through this journey of this thing called life, because now we're transitional parenting. What do you need help with? That was hard for me because listen, because I wanted to just say, this is what you go do. This is what you go do. You need to do this, but that wasn't fair. That wasn't fair for me to and say this is what you have to do. So I allowed conversations to take place, and I allowed her to go on her path that she felt like she wanted to go. And as she did that, she learned a lot. I learned a lot. Our communication grew because it took a while, but she started to understand that I'm here for you. Your dad is going to support you regardless. I don't want you to ever feel like you're disappointing me. And I had to, one, deal with that myself, and two, I had to make sure she understood that it's okay to make mistakes. Sometimes our children, we say it's okay for our kids to make mistakes, but we don't create that space for them to feel that it's good to make the mistakes that we say that we would be okay with them making. And I had to continue to reassure and reaffirm her that if this is the decision that you're going to make for your life, stand on your decision. And so we went through that first year of her going to school, going to work, and learning a lot about life, learning more things about herself, some challenges that came up, but always knowing that her parents were there to support. And I think after that, it finally got to the point where she was just like, I need help for real, for real. And and it was one of those things where I had to be careful of how I handled that situation, because if I would have handled that situation from a "I told you so" point of view, then that probably would have been the last. That probably would have been one of the last things or interactions for her to really feel, to have that openness that I've always said that was there. And she came. She was like, I need help. I need, I need help making a decision that my next step for my life. I have options. She listed out all of her options. She listed out what she wants to do, what she has the opportunity to do, and she was just like, I need help making a decision. And I said, do you need help making a decision, or do you want me to make the decision for you? She was like, I want you to make the decision for me. And I'm not. I'm not going to make the decision for you. Her mom and I was like, we're not going to make the decision for you. But what we did, we helped you list out the pros and cons of both decisions. What are the benefits of this decision here? What are the benefits of this decision here? What bumps and bruises could be along the way here? What about here? Like, we literally sat down and wrote out a game plan to paint the picture, because me, Marcus, I'm a visual learner. You can't just give me a whole bunch of information. Like, you have to break certain things down for me. And the way my mind set up is like, I need to see it, then I need to say it, then I need to see it again, and I need to walk through it, and I got it. So we literally sat down and wrote down a plan together. And I know some will say, well, this is the type of things that you all could have did when they were younger. Yeah, we did. We did. It was done throughout middle school. It was done in high school. We had a plan going into high school of what the career path that you wanted to go on. But just like us as adults, we change our minds. Plans change. And so we had to reevaluate the next moves. And it took a lot of patience on my behalf, in my part, because I did, at some points, I felt like, as a dad, I felt like I kept asking myself, Marcus, did you drop the ball somewhere? Was this something that you should have done that you didn't do? There's more that you could have done? And I just had to reassure myself that no, that there was nothing that I did not do. Was I perfect? No. But I really had to look at it and say, I made the best decisions that I thought was the best. And I think that's one of the things, as you get older in this life, you begin to appreciate your parents even more. And I told my parents that I appreciate them even more now that I have my own family, my own kids, because now I understand that you were 23 at one point, you were 30 at one point, and you made the best decisions for us that you felt were right at that moment. I don't know what you did. I don't know why you made that decision, but I know why I'm making my decisions now. And so that allows me to appreciate my parents even the more. All right. So continuing on the transitional parenting, we put together some plans. Like, we sat down, we budgeted some things, and because my daughter is a visual learner like that, she made a decision, and we said, okay, is this the decision that you're going to make? How can we support you? I think that was one of the best things that I learned as a parent, is asking questions and not barking all the time. I had to learn ask the questions of, how can I help you as your dad? Is there things that you feel like that I'm not giving you as your father? Do you feel like it's safe to talk to me as a dad? Are you comfortable talking to me as you about anything? Because we say, my child can talk to me about anything. My child can talk to me about anything. My child know if they ever got a problem, they can come talk to me. They probably know it, but do they actually take you in on that offer? Because again, sometimes we have to make sure that we have created the space of welcoming, that we say we want people to be free to speak their mind to us or speak how they feel, but have we created that space for them to feel free? Like if I tell you I love you all the time, but I have done nothing to show you that I love you, then do you really love me? That's going to make me question things. If I tell my girls that you can talk to me about anything, if you ever got something on your mind, talk to your dad, I got you. But every time they come around, I make them feel uncomfortable. Or when they do give me a little bit, I overdo it. I over engage, I overindulge in the conversation, or I over pursue the conversation. There's been a lot of times with my girls that conversations have come and I just mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I just sit there and listen. And I sit there and my insides are going crazy because I want to say something. I want to interject my thought. I want to let you know that you were stupid. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Sometimes we want to say stuff. I told y'all I don't have 2%. That's what it is. Sometimes as parents we want to say certain things to our kids, but we don't. We just wait till they're gone and we say it to our pillow, or we text somebody else and be like, "Hey, let me tell you what this is a girl that told me." It's almost like you've been telling your child something for years. For years, you've been telling them about something, and then all of a sudden they go to somebody's house, or they go meet a stranger. They go to school for the first day and they come home. Guess what such and such told me today? They told me if I save such and such amount of money within a year, I'll have all this money saved up. And you sitting here like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's a lot of money, ain't it? Mm-hmm. And they just so happy. They didn't got a revelation. Their whole life has changed. And you sitting here like, I told you that 11 times already. Yep, there it is. I had to say it just like that. I've already told you that 11 times. And now you get it, but you have to be okay with that. All of the lessons that our kids are going to learn are not going to always come from us. One plant, one water. That's what we do in our life. We're either planting seeds in our kids or we're watering seeds in our kids. That's our whole life. And so now that she's on her path. I am very proud of where she is in her life right now. I, her mom had told her one day. She told her that, you know what? I haven't seen you smile like this in a while. Like right now, I see that she's smiling more. Her I like to use the word energy all the time. People use that so much. Her spirit is lifted even more. She's had a lot. She's experienced a lot in her life early, but her spirit is lifting more because I think she's at peace with some of the decisions that she's made, and I'm allowing her that space to grow and that space to be her, and I'm still able to parent her and watch over her and help guide her. We we sat down and wrote down budget, because one thing about it, and I'm gonna say this, one thing about it, I will support you, I will be here for you, but at some point I'm not making you pay rent, but you can contribute to this house. I'm I'm so sorry. I do not feel no ways tired about that. But I believe you work in a full-time job. I believe that there are some ways that you can contribute to this house some type of way. Even if it's you can buy a couple of groceries, you can do dinner. Like we wrote out some things, some tangible things that are within your means, because I'm not trying to. I want you paying me rent. You're my daughter. I never charge my girls rent, but I do expect you to help out around the house even more because you're an adult, and that's just realistic. I can't allow you to think that you can just sit in a place and just suck up everything and not have to put in on it. Yeah, that's not right. I will not raise that type. So we sat down and we put some budgets in place to help and made some realistic expectations for some things and put some tangible goals in place. And you would think they're 18, they're 19, they don't need help doing this type of stuff. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They do need help doing these types of things. I'm a whole adult, and sometimes I still need help with certain types of these things. And I know parenting doesn't end at the age of 18 because I'm 40 and I still look to my parents for help. I still look to my parents for guidance. My parents are not off the hook. Anytime I get to go to my mama's house and just lay on the sofa or just sit in the chair, I have a design chair at my mom's house that no one's allowed to sit in if I'm there but me. And that's my chair. I sit there and y'all go around and play with your grandma. I'm here to be a son. And I like to create that space for my girls as they go older. So transitional parenting, it is forever happening. It's forever happening. Parenting does not stop when a child gets 18. It continues to go, it continues to modify, it continues to look different, but those are still our babies. Those are still our babies. I don't care, even when they get grown and married, they're still going to be my girl. You got to give me my last name back. That's mine. You can't keep that no more. You decide to go with Buddy. Take his last name. So, but transitional parenting, and that's just talking about transitioning from high school to adulthood. I am going to spend some other episodes talking about different phases that kids go through their life journey, and the role is very important as men that we bring that balance to our girls, because our little girls, they need us more than anybody else. That relationship between a father and a daughter is so important. It is so important because we set the tone, or we set the expectations, and we set that taste in their mouth for the joker that they're going to decide to bring home. And I know there are certain situations where we do raise our kids a certain way, and they're going to go off and they're going to make their own decisions and certain things. But something in the back of their head is going to always remember how my interactions were with my dad, or what were my interactions with the male in my life that had the most influence. Whether it's an uncle, whether it's a granddaddy, whether it's a brother, whether it's a cousin. Those initial relationships that we have in our lives, they do a lot of forming as we get older. Men with our sons, how we interact with our sons. If you grow up always telling your son he a punk because he cried, or if you grow up always telling your son he a punk because he showed affection, what you think he gonna continue to do as he get older? He not gonna show affection, and he gonna bottle all of that up. And one day, and that's gonna be another topic that we're gonna talk about our men emotional, because I want to jump into this thing about our men emotional. Men are very emotional. We may express ourselves completely different. We may show our emotions in a different way, but men, we are very emotional creatures. But if you keep teaching him that he is not allowed to show his emotions, and on the next episode, I'm going to bring my balloon and I'm going to show you what happens on that balloon effect when it comes to suppressing emotions. That's what we're going to talk about. So, until next time, I appreciate everybody who's continuing to watch this and listen to this to the end. Share it with somebody. As always, you can find me on Instagram at Adult Black Dad on IG. And I'm always listening for feedback. Share this with somebody you know. Share it with somebody you don't know. I appreciate you all. I love you all. And I'll see you next time. Again, as always, a dope black dad.